Hi everyone, my name is Laura and I'm going to be presenting the work What About Cuba? Political Tourism or Tourism Policies. This work represents the first stage of our research and also our preliminary results. This work has been developed by Professor Giovanni Comarela and Professor Jugurta Lisboa and myself as the part of the Master Degree Computer Science program that is being held at the Informatics Department at the Federal University of Viçosa in Brazil. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about the motivation that guides this research, also our research question, and the solution that we presented as a part for answering this research question, the discussion of these preliminary results, and our future work. Tourism and politics. You might not think it, but tourism and politics have an incredible close relationship. First of all, politics both drives and is driven by opinion in society. And also society governs what is acceptable, what is popular, and what should be avoided. Politics and those involved with the political process are therefore in a position to influence and articulate the views of tourists all around the world. Tourism is much more than a place to stay during holidays. There is indeed a political impact that can carry a significant cultural impact in the tourists, in the society. The main motivation behind this work is that we can establish or make an approach to those relations by analyzing the changes in the tourism during an important political event. In those countries like Cuba, that this impact is so deep that are carried by people that live in there, countries like Cuba. Cuba was for a long time a country close to the world, characterized by its revolutionary policies in the last 60 years. Today, Cuba has changed substantially. Tourism became the country's solution to get foreign exchange income, assuming international tourism as one of the basic access in the redefinition of its economy. This opening has led to the establishment of relationships with countries such as Spain, Mexico, Canada, Japan, France, and Jamaica. These relations also constitute, in the case of Cuba, new political relationships. But you may think, what about Cuba? Well, Cuba has a rich political history. Everything about Cuba is political matter. And tourism in Cuba, as I said, is the main source of revenue for the island. And also, for the last 2 years, has been an opening about Cuba and about the tourism. And people all around the world are now interested in knowing Cuba and visiting Cuba. So given this whole explanation about tourism and politics in countries, for example, like Cuba, with this high amount of impact in politics and this important role of the tourism, we establish this research question. Given the political changes, are there changes in tourism? And we plan to answer this question taking into account spatial footprints, taking into account the perception of tourists that visit the island. To show the tourist dynamics, this paper used the spatial footprints left by the tourists in social media platform when they travel and experience the world, compared to traditional voluntary geographic information or VGI platform, like for example OpenStreetMap, in which people directly contribute geographic information. These spatial footprints can be considered indirectly as VGI. That is, the main objective of the user is to share information instead of contributing data. So a spatial footprint directly show in a specific phenomena or a sense of reality, which is a great opportunity for us to discover valuable geographic information and notices changes in the reality over time, such as the region of interest. Region of interest, or ROI, that may contain several collocated geographic features. Also, these ROIs can include areas that do not have important landmarks, or restaurants, or pedestrian streets. ROIs are obtained for geodatic photos or spatial footprints, as I explained in the last slide, representing the real interests of the tourists who visit the island. This paper is going to use, or this work is going to use, these ROIs obtained from these spatial footprints of Havana to make an approach in order to understand the connection between political events and tourism. And this is going to be able because the emergence of Web 2.0, right? When users can contribute and share information. Data-driven approaches may be used to observe through the tourist eyes these changes in Cuba. This image shows the plan of the President of the United States on the approach to Havana, when he landed in Havana. And we selected this image to show you that we have selected one of the most important political events that happened in Havana or in Cuba in the last years. That was the visit to Cuba. Because this image won a really important award in Spain, actually. And was because the clear differences between this huge airplane and our very classic cars, just the whole country stopped to see this political event happening, right? And so that's why we select these important political events. So what is the idea? We are going to first obtain the ROIs, and then we're going to make a temporal analysis in order to show this dynamics. Because of that, the first step is this data collection process. And for this process, we relied on FLIR's public API, right? And we use FLIR's why? Because FLIR's is actually used by a billion of people in order to show their photos, and not only people but photographs. So and also this important platform like FLIR has a public API, and also this FLIR has been used by other papers. So we have like a background for this platform. So this API provides us with a wide range of information for each photo that has been uploaded. Also, we only collected these photos that were made publicly available, right? And this information represents the presence of tourists in the city that also use FLIR as a social platform for uploaded photos. We work and we recognize the limitation of using these photos, and we work under the hypothesis that this information is a representative sample of the tourists in the city, despite recognizing the sample's bias by containing only flagged users. We use the main method of the API, that the photos.search endpoint, and this method returns records like photos for a given area, which can be you can input this area by latitude and longitude intervals. So this endpoint has a limitation of only returning of 4,000 records per query. In order to overcome this limitation, we started by querying the whole Havana area. Then every time that we obtain 4,000 records, we split the box in half, alternating latitude and longitude, and we recursively apply the same process to both sub-areas. whenever a query returned less than 4,000 points. We stop. For each photo, we save the metadata like photo ID, a title, description, tags, the time that was uploaded, and that the photo was taken. This data collection was collection of following the bounding box showing the slide. So in total, we collected 136,917 records within the bounding box that we defined. This figure shows the concentration of photos, the whole data set of photos that we collected. As you can see, there is the limitation of the geographic area that corresponds to the area of Havana, actually. We decided for this study to focus in a more concentrated area of Havana, that is Central Havana, in order to show the higher dynamics. So in order to find the ROIs inside Havana area, we decided to apply a two-phase strategy. So first, we applied the Agave-Scan clustering algorithm to our data set in order to find clusters with a difference of density. That is what Agave-Scan let us do. And then we decided that each cluster is going to be the representation of the region of interest. So each cluster is going to be itself a region of interest or a ROI. And for that manner, we apply the alpha-shaped algorithm into each clusters. So this figure shows the result of applying this strategy. As you can see, we obtained a total of 136 ROIs with different shapes and sizes. Among these ROIs, there are important ROIs like the 20 and 21 that is interesting, this result, because those two ROIs are indeed just one. And saying that, I mean that the region 20 is the plasma revolution itself, but the 21 is the region in front of this plasma revolution square. And it's also a ROI because from that point you can see the plasma revolution square from a very good angle. Now that we have the ROIs inside the geographic area of Havana, it is time to make an analysis from a temporal point of view. And I want to show you this figure. This figure shows the temporal distribution of tourists visiting Havana from the year 2000 to 2019 for the 10 countries that most originated visitors to the city during such a period of time, right? There are two things that I wanted to explain to you from this figure, and it's important that you notice this. First, it seems that overall the number of tourists visiting Havana started to decrease around 2015, and that this trend is even more significant after 2018. It is important to keep in mind that we are using fleet as proxy for the number of visitors, and the fleet usage dropped in the last years as a result of the emergence of other photo sharing services such as Instagram, for instance, and by an important free policy applied that limited the number of free photos per account. And the second most important thing to notice from this image is, despite these fleets cooling down differently from other countries, the number of tourists from the United States peaks in 2016 and 2017. Such an observation corroborates and shows the idea that politics and tourism in Cuba are correlated. In fact, the rapprochement between Cuba and the United States was established with Obama's visit to the island in 2017. But before that, there were several other policies that were applied. This image shows the concentration of those tourists inside each row. And as you can see, the more those rows that shows more concentration as are rows 114, 117, and 125. Known as Plaza de Armas, Plaza Francisco de Asís, and Plaza Vieja. And as you can see, these rows are also higher in the years of 2017 and 2018. The increase, as you can see in this image over here, these are those shores, and you can see are located nearby the poor area in Havana. And this is interesting because the increase on the interest in those regions can be explained by the political changes with the United States previously described, with the opening of the travel by sea policy, allowing cruise companies to make deals with the Cuban government. So in this research, we started looking at these dynamics in the tourism in Havana that led us to a connection between a political effect in the tourism, making a connection between the politics and tourism, right? So we try to correlate these dynamics with important events concerning the relationship between the Cuban government and the outside world, especially the United States. Our results, our partially results, suggest that the changes in the United States policies with regard to Cuba had a significant impact on the flow of the American citizens visiting Cuba. Moreover, it was possible to notice that the most affected area was nearby the Havana port. Due to this huge impact of the political event on the increase in the visits from Americans to the island, we can partially answer the question that gives title to this article, pointing that there is a connection between the political event and the tourism, and suggesting that there was a political tourism in that time lapse. Regarding policies that actually encourage tourism in that time lapse. This study did not observe a strong evidence of impact on tourists visit the city. As actually a future work, we plan to analyze in a more wide range the roads that were visited by these American tourists in a way to look for political interest. There was in this a growth in the tourism in Havana, and also there was a growth of income in the island that have been happening as well, which enabled from the government a reconstruction of the more affected area of Havana, the more historic part of Havana. And we actually intended to study and to analyze if this income of money to the island change had a change on the dynamic of the tourists, and how this renovation affected the tourist interest in the city. Also, as another future work, we intended to analyze in a more deep and wide range the roads that were visited by the Americans in order to find if there was a political interest in other roads that were obtained from the cruising process. And with that, I ended this presentation. If you have any questions, also you can email me or be in touch with me. Thank you all.